What do we mean by raising consciousness? How can we contribute to elevating and raising human consciousness so that we can be a society that is actually befitting the technological progress that's coming into the world right now? And the question is, what will get us there? And this is where I want to introduce you to the second philosopher, who's a writer. And maybe some of you recognize this blog. It's called Wait But Why. Any Wait But Why readers here? So Wait But Why is a brilliant blog. This guy, Tim Urban, he writes blog posts which are 60,000 words long, which is almost 3/4 the size of my book, right? It takes about 3 or 4 hours to read his blog post, but he's brilliant. And he wrote this blog post recently about Neuralink, Elon Musk's new company. And in that blog post, he had a very, very interesting metaphor about the human race. This is basically what Tim Urban said. He said, let's say an alien species comes to Earth at 3 different time intervals, right? Planet 1, he visits maybe 2 million years ago. Planet 2, he visits 10,000 years ago. And Planet 3, he visits today. Now, if that alien were to then go back and report what he was seeing, he would say, I came across 3 planets and 2 had life. But he would be wrong. You see, there's a big difference between Planet 3 and Planet 2. Planet 1, well, he'd say 2 had sentient life. Planet 1, maybe we'd find early primates who have yet to evolve into human beings. When you get to Planet 2, you basically see that 10,000 years ago, human beings existed. They had just discovered agriculture, they were making fire, they were living in tribes. But then if you come forward just 10,000 years later, human beings are now connected. They are satellites buzzing around the globe. People can talk to each other halfway across the planet through technologies like Skype or Facebook Messenger. But here's the funny thing, right? If you were to take a baby from Planet 2 and put that baby on Planet 3, time travel that baby will grow up and that baby could be a doctor or an engineer. But at the same time, if you could take a baby from Planet 3 and put that baby on Planet 2, that baby would grow up to be a hunter-gatherer. Basically, learning. His technological progress might be learning to make fire. It's the same human being. We haven't evolved that much in 10,000 years. But how are we now so much more powerful? Well, this is what Tim says we have to realize, right? He says, both the second and third planets have intelligent life on them, equally intelligent life, so equal that you could kidnap a newborn baby from Planet 2 and swap it with a newborn from Planet 3, and both would grow up as normal people on each other's planet, fitting in seamlessly, same people. What has really happened, he said, is that in Planet 3, we've created a new form of life called the human colossus. That's his name. He came up with that terminology. The human colossus is basically the collective human race, which is now connected through our technology. It's the collective human race which is connected through the World Wide Web, through Skype, through WhatsApp. And what Urban says is, the better we can communicate on a mass scale, the more our species begins to function like a single organism, with humanity's collective knowledge tower as its brain, and each individual human brain like a nerve or muscle fiber in its body. With the era of mass communication upon us, the collective human organism, the human colossus, rose into existence. In other words, we are cells in an 8 billion cellular being called the human colossus. You can think of it that way. But here's the other fascinating thought. If we are cells, we can be a healthy cell, or we could be that. That's a cancer cell. How do you know what cell you are? Cancer cells are not bad, they just don't know what they're doing. How can we tell if our work, if what we are doing in life represents cancer or cooperation? So I want to go back to philosopher number 1, Tom Chi, and a really interesting story he shared with me. See, Tom ran an innovation think tank in Silicon Valley, so these massive corporations would come to him and they'd say, Tom, help us figure out, here's $350,000, help us figure out how to do X or how to innovate on Y. And one day, a particular company came to him and they said, Tom, we want to give you all of this money and we want you to help us figure out how to get our beverage, our carbonated, sugary beverage, to teenagers. So Tom said, why do you want to do that? And they go, well, teens are not drinking as much of this beverage. And we think it would be great if you could help us figure out how we can raise our bottom line and improve our shareholder value by getting teenagers to drink our beverage. And Tom said, but you realize your beverage is basically high fructose corn syrup. It's sugar. you realize your beverage contributes to diabetes. And they said, no, 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 Tom, our beverage doesn't contribute to diabetes. Yes, it has sugar, but everything has sugar. Our scientists have found that there are at least 100 causes of diabetes, and there's no conclusive link. So Tom said, look, I'm a scientist, and I know that. I'm not going to work with you. And so he actually turned that down. God bless Tom Chi. He turned down hundreds of thousands of dollars. Tom told me this. He said, when I tried to explain to the employees of this company that their beverage caused diabetes, they refused to buy it. They had many layers of denial, saying there are hundreds of causes of diabetes, and that soda is just part of a balanced set of choices you can make food-wise, right? And he said they went further. They would say, look, our company is really good. Our company was the first company to show a multiracial couple in an ad. Our company was the first company to show gay people kissing on a television spot. And that was actually true. And Tom said this, it's a classic example of fooling yourself, that goodness in one area gives you a free pass in others. Really, what's true is that we need to stay awake and keep learning in all the areas we can. Now, one thing I love about Tom is he's a really compassionate being, right? He never felt animosity towards the employees of this company. He never felt that they were wrong. In fact, he felt sorry for them. He said this, I felt for them as well because shaking their reality would mean leaving a corporation they enjoy working at, with co-workers they like, and the careers they'd invested in, and the financial stability that has helped them support a family in their city. That's what deep down felt at stake to them, that led them to pile on countless layers of denial and misinformation to protect their business, their idea, their job. Which leads to an interesting question. Are we working for Humanity Plus or Humanity Minus companies? How do we know that we have not fallen into that cognitive dissonance? How do we know that we are not actually cancer cells poisoning the human colossus, but deluded and fooled into believing that our products or services are actually good? And this is where I believe our education systems need to introduce a new model into the world. Humanity Plus or Humanity Minus. Entrepreneurs can be Humanity Plus or Humanity Minus. Businesses can be Humanity Plus or Humanity Minus. I believe the word be an entrepreneur or all of these motivational speakers who say, go, hustle, be an entrepreneur, bullshit. Entrepreneurs can be destructive forces or they can be positive forces. If you do not make that distinction, you create entrepreneurs who help perpetuate this society where we never feel enough, where we have to drink high fructose corn syrup, which is marketed as happiness in a red can. So the question is, how do you tell if your job, if your work is actually pushing the human race forward and is thus Humanity Plus, or if your job and your work is really an algorithm designed to create shareholder value, but is really going to be creating a world that is worse off for your children? And that is a really important question. Thank you. The question I ask myself in every business decision I make is a question I call the Eve question. My daughter's name is Eve, and I find that thinking about your children is a very good way. If I'm getting a product out, will this product make the world better for Eve, or will it simply make me more money in the short term? If you're working for a company, this particular soda company, massive shareholder value. They probably made a lot of people rich, but they are poisoning the planet. The latest thing they've done is they realized that fewer and fewer people were drinking soda, so they launched a campaign to say that you have to drink their bottled water. And they also said, don't worry about the plastic, it's going to get recycled because the tap water in your city could be bad for you. Then it was found that the tap water in the city was actually cleaner than some of the bottled water they were peddling, but it was too late. Today, Americans discard billions of bottles of plastic bottled water, and only 5% are recycled. That's another example of bullshit algorithms ruining the world. Now, the same company pays their employees 30% higher to stay because employee turnover is high. They are buying people's consciousness. Now, this is just one of many other ideas out there where if we can simply understand Humanity Plus or Humanity Minus, the smartest minds in the world would not be joining this company, not even for 30% more, and would maybe go and work for companies that are pushing organic food, or changing the education system, or helping heal the earth, or becoming teachers or educators. But our algorithms are wrong, And this is why we need certain guideposts or certain ideas to help us tell whether we're on the right path or we're on the wrong path, and we're actually a cancer in the human colossus. See, think of the human colossus as all the people on earth today and all the people who are going to come. Your body has cells, and every 7 years, your body completely renews itself. Every cell you have in your body did not exist 7 years ago, and every cell you have now will not exist 7 years from now. Your body is always renewing itself. There are generations upon generations upon generations of cells. But if you poison your body, that poison stays. That poison will affect future generations of cells. We do that to the planet. We poison humanity by getting humanity to buy products that will make us feel temporarily happy, but actually hurt future generations. It happens not just for products, but for political ideologies. Think about how people were raving about Trump being going to be a great president because he was a businessman. But nobody asked, was he a humanity plus businessman or a humanity minus businessman? That simple distinction would have really helped. Thank you for watching that video. I'd love to know your thoughts, so leave a comment.